gracias por conectarte a Vida In Online. Estamos a tan solo unos minutos de comenzar. Pero antes de, quiero darte un consejo. Ve y toma tu café, tu té y ponte cómodo. Y también comparte con tu familia y amigos para que juntos podamos disfrutar de esta transmisión.
Tienes que conectarte. ¿Me estás escuchando? ¿Sí? ¿Bien? ¿Y escucha la musiquita? Ok. Uh-huh.
Hola, qué gusto verte conectado aquí en Vida In Online. Estamos a unos minutos de comenzar, así que prepárate, ponte cómodo para que puedas disfrutar de todo lo que tenemos preparado para ti este domingo.
Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to Vida In. It's a pleasure to say hi to you from our Monterrey campus all the way to your house, wherever you are. We know there are people watching from different places, and I want to specifically say hi to our people in Saltillo and our friends from Monterrey, our friends from Mexico City, and all the way to Chile. We are happy to connect with you today, all the way to your house, and I'm glad to share this time with my friend Fer. I'm also very happy, and this is the first time we are together. It's a pleasure for me. Thanks to all of you for connecting. Welcome to Vida In at home, Vida In online. Thank you to everyone who are here for the first time. We are glad to have you here for in this place. And I know that we are in a complex reality. We continue to transmit, to broadcast, to be a church. The church is not a building. We're not bound by a building, but by a vision, a passion. We are passionate about God. We love God. We love people, and we want to share this love with a lot of people around us. If this is the first time, this is who we are. Welcome, and we are extremely happy that you are with us today. I would say we are a family. I think this um, explains who we are. And yes, Fer, we are a community. And being a community and doing community is very different, but we continue to be connected and doing community together. And today we want to share a story that we heard about our family ministry, which inspired us a lot. And we want to share it with you. You know what I'm talking about? Actually, we're going to share a story, Damaris' story. I personally know her. It's a girl, I've seen her grow, how she's grown in her life. She's very happy, passionate about what she does, proactive with a lot of initiative. And now that you listen to her story, I want you to listen to the following. Through Damaris's life, we can see the possibilities we can have for the next generation. She is a mentor for girls between 10 and 12 years old. And a mentor is just a person who voluntarily decides to walk a path with boys and girls, walk with them in their journey, and to be a voice of influence so that in a moment they can make wise decisions. So Damaris, who you're going to listen to right now, she's going to tell us a little bit about what this role is within the church and the impact she is having in her mentees. So I invite you to listen to Damaris. Hello, I'm Damaris Telles. I am a mentor for sixth grade girls. I've been coming to Vida for about 5 years, and that's the time I've served in the area. And a friend invited me, and he took me to the kids area because he knows I love them. When I met or when I found out about the family ministry, the family area, it impacted me. All the work that's done here. I also love the truths each stage of life has, and it was amazing to me. I thought it's great that they have this train of thought, that they are working with each one of them in this way. My motivation for being a mentor are basically three. The first one is I want to be able to impact the next generation. The second one is I would love that when I have children, that they can be these amazing mentors for my children, so that they can be so that if I want them to be mentors, I need to be one, and then to be one, a good one. And the third one is I want emotionally healthy children. What I've seen in these 5 years is a radical change, how they've grown in their faith. They can say, I know God is my friend. I see in them that they are building genuine friendships with other children. And although they're different, they have differences, they've been able to have that empathy, that love for their neighbor, and they can say, she is my friend. I think something essential we've done in this time is that we've been able to fuse my influence and the parents so that they can start making decisions, wise decisions. I've I've gotten to see a lot during this time that they make decisions of what's better, from what's better to what is wise. Something else I also see is that they see me as a friend, and in these processes they've had fears, difficulties, doubts, and they don't doubt in looking for me and reaching out to me. Our the parents and we are bonding and to make a change in our children. That's how we can dream of having better communities for tomorrow. Isn't it true? It's very inspiring to hear what Damaris was sharing with us. This inspires me, it inspires us as a church to be that. And when I hear Damaris, I see the possibilities for the next generation, helping and walking alongside with boys and girls to develop a solid faith, a brave faith, because you need to be brave at those stages. And Damaris represents the life of many people. Many people, probably like you, who are volunteers, who give of their talent, the time to improve the life of others. That is amazing. And it definitely is worthwhile, definitely is worth the effort. It's worth the sacrifice because serving means sacrificing. When I listen to Damaris' words, I can think of the people who have walked towards Jesus because other people decided to walk towards them. And it's amazing to see the people who have walked and taken steps towards God and that now can see God as their Heavenly Father and now find hope, strengthen their faith, and increase their certainty. And that is worthwhile. We are doing this together. And the truth, Damaris represents the life of many people. Maybe you are one of them, and I invite you and encourage you to continue to give, to continue to serve, to continue to love the way God loved us. And I want to thank you because together we are making it possible for a lot of people to know God as their Father. And that's what is a passion for us, what unites us as a church. We are walking and helping people to grow in a relationship with Jesus. And if you are one who have decided to give of your time, your talent, your resources as well, through your constant giving, through your tithes, your offerings, your giving, your donations, and if you've decided to give to join this mission, thank you, because this is worthwhile. We're going to continue to drive this and help other people to come close to God. And this is another way in which we can see how the influence of the church and the parents can join and to build a better generation. That is worthwhile. It's very, very much important. This is why we're doing it. There's a link on your screen. If you decide to give, there are very many options for you to do so. And I encourage you, I ask you to continue to build this church, which is a church for everyone, a church for the next generation. We're going to continue with our service, and what is next, we're going to have a very warm conversation between Lauro and Carlos, and they're going to bring us a very useful information. And we're going to continue with part 3 of this series, Artificial Maturity. So please stay connected so that you can listen to Carlos and Lauro with this topic they're going to share with us today. Good morning. It's great to have you here today. My name is Laura. For those of you who don't know me, I'm part of Vidaín staff, and I have the privilege of being the multi-campus director of our family environments. And today I'm very excited because with me is my friend Carlos Ordóñez. How are you, Carlos? Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Lauro. Thank you
Gracias
for,
por
and
acompañarnos
very
el día de
glad
hoy.
to
Mira,
be here.
Carlos es una persona a
Carlos
quien yo
is a person
aprecio,
who I
admiro y respeto
admire, appreciate,
muchísimo,
and respect
no
a lot,
solamente porque es un
not only
amigo, sino
because
por
he
esa
is a
gran
friend,
pasión que
but
tiene
because of
Carlos
the
por las
great
nuevas
passion he
generaciones
has for
también.
the new
Así que
generations,
cada
for
vez que tú y yo
investing
platicamos de este tema como
in
echamos
them. Every
ideas,
time
es algo que
you
nos
and
puede
I
llevar
talk about
horas,
this topic,
nos
we can
quedamos
be
ahí hablando
talking
muchísimo
for
porque es algo que
hours
nos
and
apasiona a
hours
los
because
dos
it's
y
a
yo
passion
admiro
for both of us,
mucho
and I
esa parte
admire
de Carlos.
that
Gracias por
part
estar
of
con
you,
nosotros
Carlos. Thank
y
you
me
for being
gustaría
with
que
us.
para comenzar
And I would
hablaras un
like for
poquito acerca
starters to talk to us a
qué
little
rol
bit
desempeñas
about
en
what
lo que
is the
tú haces.
role you play.
Bueno, pues muy bien, muchas
Well,
gracias. Pues
thank you, Lauro.
actualmente me
I'm
desempeño en una
currently
institución educativa como
working
profesor investigador
in
en el área de la dirección de salud y bienestar. Y
middle
tengo ya
high
a lo
school
largo
and
de mi carrera
university
aproximadamente unos 20
institution.
años
I've been working
enfocado en todo
in
lo que
this
es
area about 20 years in
educación,
education, in
en diferentes roles,
formation, in different
admisión,
roles,
liderazgo,
admissions,
después grupo,
leadership, group
consejería
management,
y ahora la
counseling,
parte
and
de
now
docencia.
in
Así es,
health
gracias,
and
Carlos.
Y bueno, tú eres parte de
well-being.
Vidaín, estás
Well,
parte con
Carlos, you are
nosotros.
part of Vidaín,
Ya
you're
tu
part of us.
esposa
You
Diana y tus
attend
hijos
here with your
Victoria y
wife
Matías, de hecho
Diana,
también
and your
hemos formado parte del grupo de
children,
vida, ¿no?
Sí,
Victoria and
Durante este
Matias,
podcast.
and we've
Desde
been a
ahí
part of
empezamos nuestra
a
conexión y
small group.
esta
That's
como
how
parte de
we
saber que hay
got
muchas
connected,
pasiones que
and
nos unen,
how we found
además de
out
la
there's a
fe y que eso
passion
puede
that
agregar
unites
valor
us
a la siguiente
besides
generación.
faith and
Y bueno,
adding
pues
value to the
estamos en
next
medio de
generation.
esta serie que
And
hemos
we're in the middle
titulado
of this series we've
Madurez
called
Artificial,
Artificial Maturity,
donde lo que hemos estado
where
compartiendo
what we
a la
have
gente es esta
shared
idea de
with
que
people
hoy
is this idea
las nuevas
that new
generaciones
generations
están
are
por la naturaleza y la
today,
dinámica
because of the
del día a día,
dynamics of
están
our day-to-day life,
sobreexpuestas
are
a una gran cantidad
overexposed
de
to a
información.
lot of
Incluso decimos que
information.
antes de que estén
We even say
listos
that
y antes de que lo
before they are
necesiten,
ready
estamos
and they need
bombardeados de
it,
información por
they
un lado
are being
y por otro
bombarded of
están
information, and
experimentando una
on the other side, they
subexposición
are
a relaciones significativas
underexposed to
y a experiencias de
meaningful
vida que les hagan
relationships and life
desarrollar toda
experiences
esta
that
parte
will help them
socioemocional.
develop all
Decimos,
this
están creciendo
social
muchísimo
emotional part because
biológicamente,
they're growing
intelectualmente,
biologically,
difícilmente hay algo a lo que
intellectually.
tú y yo le podemos
There's
decir a un chavo o a un
rarely
adolescente hoy
something
que no lo
we can
sepa porque
say
está a
to
una
or we can
equidistancia.
tell a
Sin
teenager that they
embargo,
don't
lo que
know
necesitan de
because
parte de nosotros
everything
es
is a
que
click away,
les ayudemos a
but they
interpretar
need us to
esa
help them
información.
interpret that
Entonces, lo que estamos
information.
viendo
So
es
what
que
we are
hay
seeing
una
is
carencia
there is a lack
de esas
of
habilidades
those
socioemocionales. Y es lo que estamos
socio-emotional
hablando acerca en esta
abilities, and
serie.
that's what
Entonces,
we're
yo
talking
quisiera
about in this
preguntarte
series. So
desde
I
tu
would
punto de
like to
vista y tu
ask you, from your
experiencia,
point of view, from your experience,
¿cómo has visto
how have
presente
you
esta realidad
seen this
de la inteligencia
reality
artificial?
present of this
pues
of
mira,
artificial
aquí las
maturity?
investigaciones demuestran
Well, research
que ha habido
shows
un aumento
that there's
justamente
been
en los
an
casos de
increase
depresión,
precisely
ansiedad,
in depression, anxiety,
por situaciones de salud mental.
in
Entonces,
mental
mucho
health
tiene que ver
issues,
con
and a
eso,
lot has to
la
do
parte del desarrollo
with
de lo que yo le llamo
the
los músculos
development of what
emocionales.
I
Me gusta mucho
call
utilizar esa
emotional
analogía.
muscles. I
Cuando
like to
vamos al
use
gimnasio a
that
trabajar nuestros
analogy when
músculos,
we go to
pues
the
bueno,
gym
no
and work out our
llegamos
muscles.
y empezamos con 100
We
kilos de
don't
carga y
start with
a lo mejor algunos hacen
200
diario, ¿no?
pounds. Well, maybe
Entonces aquí la
someone
parte
does,
del
but not
desarrollo de
me.
habilidades
And
socioemocionales y
we need
emocionales hay
to
que empezar
develop
desde muy jovencitos,
abilities in a
poco a poco, a través de
socio-emotional
las
level,
experiencias de vida.
little by
Esto que
little, through
mencionabas,
life
¿no? Que
experiences.
recibimos hoy en
What
día
you said,
mucha
we
información
receive a lot of
y no
information
sabemos
today,
necesariamente
and
cómo
we don't
interpretarla.
necessarily
Por
know how
eso
to interpret
manejo
them.
el concepto este de madurez
Tim Elmore
artificial que tiene
manages this
áreas de
concept of
desempeño.
artificial maturity,
Curiosamente, las
and
mismas
he
dimensiones que
talks
muchos grupos
about
de
different
bienestar
uh,
manejan como las dimensiones de depresión,
parts,
de relajación.
like the
Importante
well-being
que
moment
sepamos que estas situaciones se están viviendo y que es una
scenarios,
tendencia que se
and
está
we need to
viviendo.
know this is a
También
trend we
enfatizar
are living,
lo
and
que
we
vamos a
need
decir
to
o lo
be
que estamos
able
haciendo no quiere decir que
how
todos la
we need to be
experimenten.
careful because
Eso
this
es algo
is
muy
not something
importante.
that applies to
No es
everyone. It's something important, and
tirarle
it's
a nadie,
not
¿no? El
a,
chiste es
generalization.
tener el conocimiento de lo que está
We need
sucediendo para poder hablar de esos
we need
temas
to
de
have the
manera
knowledge of what's
asertiva.
happening to talk
Puede ser
about
bastante
topics that
incómodo, pero
might
justo
be
por eso lo vamos a dejar
kind of
de hablar. Ahora,
uncomfortable
tú
for
hablas
people,
acerca de esta
and we need to
fragilidad
address them. And now
emocional
you talk about this
que está presente
frailty,
y que
emotional
de alguna manera
frailty,
el doctor Tim
and
Elmore
in a way, Dr.
lo
Tim
menciona
Elmore
como una
mentions it
atrofia.
as an
Están
atrophiation.
atrofiados los
Kids
músculos
are
emocionales
have
y todo eso
their
está
muscles, their
regulando
emotional
muchísimos
muscles are
temas
atrophiated,
que, bueno,
and
al
this
final del
impacts
camino
many other
están
topics
cobrando
that which at the
una
end of the
factura.
day
Ahora,
are
te
being
quiero hablar
costly.
y quisiera
Now, when
saber
I hear
desde tu
you,
punto de
I would
vista,
like to know
¿cuál es
from
el
your
rol
point
que
of view,
tienen
what is the
los adultos,
role
los padres?
adults
Porque
have,
pareciera
parents
que
have,
nosotros tenemos
because it seems as if we have a great responsibility in all this. Yes, it's on us, the kind of adults we will have tomorrow, the kind of children we will have. And I would like to quote a book I recently read, which is called the revolution of the senses. And it's a phrase I love that says, we cannot stop the waves of the sea, but we can learn to surf them. Then this is very important. It's extremely important to understand this concept, because as parents, some of us become wave breaking the parents, those parents that stop the wave so that they don't take down the kid, instead of teaching our kids to ride the waves together. Because if we continue to do that, we won't allow our children to learn how to cope with these events or situations in life. And the Bible is clear. Jesus said, in this world you will face affliction. Yes, because life is hard, life is difficult, and I love how you manage it or how you talk about it, because you cannot avoid the waves of the sea, but we can learn how to serve them together. That's something very, very interesting, because you say we become, or we look to be parents that break the waves for our children. And in this series, we've said that as parents, we need to we have been preparing the path for our children instead of preparing our children for the path. And there's a big difference, because we as parents, in our search for giving them the happiness and caring for their self-esteem, we focus a lot on the path and not on them. Now, something you mentioned, Carlos, had to do with that artificial maturity is also present, because we as parents are not full. We are not prepared. Yes, we talk about artificial maturity and we focus it a lot on young people, but we are responsible for them. And it is important to know that if our glass is not full, we cannot give to our loved ones what we don't have. So we need to also think in us and make sure that we are also growing. There's a lot that you and I can do, but we focus so much in preparing the path, in empowering them, that in a way we are making them not able for facing this, and we are reaping what for years we've sown. And talking about these crops, what are some of the effects that you've been able to observe from your point of view, from an educational point of view, from the workplace? Well, yes, in some cases, and I would divide this in three. I would talk about family, parents, and what we see in institutions, organizations, and what we also see in significant relationships between parents and kids. Parents, we said, talked about it. We have to learn how to communicate and connect with our children. We need to have the maturity to connect with our children, because I'm sure most of us, all of us, we want to connect with them, but we're lost. we don't know how to communicate with the new generations, and maybe a lot of it is because we want to reach them from our life experience and expertise instead of reaching out to them like, son, I love you, we are in this together, let's ride this wave together. And this type of behaviors in organizations and institutions also leads to communication problems, because it's very typical that you ask someone to communicate something to a group of people, and when you tell them, did you communicate this to someone? Yes, I already told them. That's a usual answer. And yes, I already gave them that information, but I'm talking about communication. And communication in its root, it means make common. It comes from Latin communis, and we need to do this between parents and children, leaders and people who they lead, because going back to children or to young people, they feel they connect more with their peers, and this is what research tells us. Young people connect better with young people, and they pay more attention to leaders than to leaders and parents and all that, because there is a natural connection. And this is what previous generation told us about the importance of who you gather or who you join with, because your relationships will determine the path, your path, or the way your path will take. Because there's a proverb that says, if you get with the wise, you will become wise, but if you meet with fools, you will get in trouble. And the bad relationships also corrupt good character and good customs. And you say there is a challenge and an effect of this artificial maturity, because we cannot communicate effectively, and that produces something in our students. Yes, there's a lot of loneliness, and we're going to talk about the feeling lonely or isolated like we are right now. Again, research shows that there's an increase in depression, anxiety indexes, and in the saddest cases, even suicide. And talking about suicide, Carlos, this week we celebrated the World Day of Suicide Prevention, which has become the second cause of death in young people from 10 to 22 years of age. And this gives me the goosebumps. And you had the opportunity of participating in a forum. And is there something you would like to mention about this difficult and relevant topic of suicide? Yes, we need to communicate and talk about this, because these are uncomfortable topics that we don't know how to address them. But it's important, very, very important for us to address them and talk about them, because a lot of times, and precisely because of September 10th, we listen a lot to suicide being preventative or avoidable. But if someone who has experienced this, experienced a loved one having committed suicide, might feel guilty. And it's like the coronavirus. It can be prevented, or a car accident can be prevented, but in a scientific from a scientific point of view, there's nothing that can be 100% preventable. So we don't have to feel as if we did something wrong. It's important that what you're saying, because maybe in our community or someone watching has someone close who went through that experience and made the decision of taking their life. In this week, there was a piece of news in TikTok of apparently someone doing this publicly, and it's sad to see this. So the part of the guilt, the prevention and guilt, it's something that we as parents can lead us to think, I could have done more. But nothing, as you say, is 100% preventable. If there's a role we play, but for the people who are watching us, they need to know that there is hope. In the world, there will be affliction, like we said about the waves, but we can be certain that God or Jesus has overcome the world. Now, talking about suicide, Carlos, you mentioned something that caught my eye. You said people don't want to end their lives. You told me that. Yes, research shows that also. We taught in suicide prevention, we say that what people want is not to take their lives. What they want is their problems to be over. If I don't have any trouble, that well, sometimes uh, people tend or go to suicide because they want to end with their trouble, not that they want to end with their lives or the pain or what they're going through. Yes, while they're looking, the truth is they're looking for a satisfactory, wholesome life. And I connect this with something that Jesus told us. It's recorded by John, one of his best friends. He wrote a biography called the Gospel of John, and in John 10:10 it says this. Jesus is talking, and he says, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." And I love to know this. And you and I are people of faith, and this has sense to us. But people who might be watching and have doubts, and or they think God, having a relationship with God, I want you to know that according to this text, Jesus wants you and I to have a plentiful, abundant, full life. And that, to me, is very valuable. Now, Carlos, what do you think is needed to reach the true maturity? We're talking about an artificial maturity that has impacts, effects, but what is it needed to reach the true maturity? Tim Elmore, in his book, says that there are different dimensions that are a part of this. And as I told you, the well-being models that are in the world have this same dimensions. So this more or less the same, different names. But it's important for us to understand this is multifactorial, and we need to address this from different points of view. And one of the most efficient ways of doing it is from mentors or through mentors, having examples or role models to follow, that they are positive, the companionships, having good companionships, so that we have people that who help us to navigate or to surf these waves. And again, research tells us that students will pay more attention to peers than specialists. So it's important to have this genuine communication with them so that they know that. And there's a phrase I love that says, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." And as parents, as specialists, this is essential. We need to show to our loved ones how much we care about them, more than how much we know. It's like you and I. It's like you and I right now. This is something that is a passion for us. But beyond how much we have to show how much we care. And I hear you, Carlos, and I think of what we do here at Vida In as a church. We want every kid, every child, every teenager, every college student or high school student to have a mentor, a person who walks with them, a person who helps them to see that, yes, I am interested in you, I'm investing my life, and I'm working, or we are working together to develop a faith, so that they know that they are not alone, that there is someone who can hear or listen to them, because that's what people need. And that's very valuable to me, that we can realize that working together we can manage or we can achieve much more than working isolated. And the Bible tells us, the Bible in Ecclesiastes 4:9 gives us an environment that tells us, and I read it, two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. So this triple braided cord can be family, education, the institution, and without a doubt, the church. The church, who plays a very important role, and if we work together in the same direction, we will manage to achieve a lot. Now that we're talking about this faith component, I would like to ask you, what is the component or the role of faith? The role of What role does faith play? Yes, we as people of faith know this, and there is a research that I met in, or that I found out about in a university in the US, that show that all the incidences of depression, anxiety, suicide were substantially lower in the universities and colleges who have a faith guideline. So this is very important. Again, the waves continue to hit, but they hit with less intensity because there is a faith component that becomes part of this three braided cord. And I would even say that the waves don't hit with more intensity. They might hit you harder, but you have an anchor that prevents you from drowning. And I love to see it that way. It's not something that, well, yes. What else you might think, what else can they talk about at church? But you're saying that there is research that supports this. So faith is very, very important. I would like to invite everyone who has small children or teenagers at home to do something in regards to this, that they can connect their children to mentors. Another question, and we are going to close with two questions. This is the first. What would you tell parents who are watching us right now, and like you say, who might be feeling awkward, disengaged, but who feel they are not connecting with their children? First of all, it's never too late. If we are here and together, we have the opportunity of doing something. It's not too late. We need to start now, and we need to start genuinely engaging our children, because this is how we can address them, get close to them. We need to first understand and then be understood, because sometimes we do it opposite. It's essential that we come close to our children, or get close to our children. And I'm going to quote something Fer said a long time ago, and at home we have a small board there, and what the first thing you say, you see there, it's something Fer said, and he says, the quality of the relationship with our children will determine the degree of influence we have in their lives. And I think that is essential. It's essential. We cannot abdicate our roles as parents because of the empowerment we talked about a while ago. Yes, we need to think in terms of influence and relationships. The quality of your relationship with your children will determine your degree of influence. And if we want, if we think that they will naturally be influenced, but if we want us as parents to have a huge influence, we need to connect relationship and influence. That's a very good advice for parents. And what would you tell students, millennials, centennials, or guys like us? Yes, we need to understand there's an important difference between isolation and loneliness. Isolation is physical. It's not something we cannot take that into social isolation. We need to connect, like we're doing right now. It's important for you to know that loneliness is different from being isolated, and loneliness is more complicated to fix because it's subjective. Isolation is physical. We are right now isolated, and I move closer to you and we're together. But if we are together and I continue to feel lonely, the problem is still there. So it's important for us to know that we need to let them know that they don't have to be lonely. And sometimes you need time alone, and that's healthy. But people don't have, or kids don't have to be alone, and they need to find a way to connect with their parents, with the friends, with specialists. Nowadays, not like back in the day that when you talk with a psychologist and you were like, crazy, right? There's Martin Seligman, the founder of positive psychology. He said in the 70s, when I sat on a plane, I sat down and people sat down next to me, and then they started the conversation. Well, what do you do? And I told them I was a psychologist, and they stood up and changed seats. Now today it's the same. I sit down and today I sit down and then they ask me what do I do. I tell them I'm a psychologist, and they start coming to my seat. And we need to look for help, because like on a car, you take the car for maintenance every certain number of kilometers, and we need to do the same with our minds. Yes, there's a taboo and we don't look for help, and it's important for us to learn how to distinct or to make a differentiation between loneliness and isolation, because we hear every day more people who feel alone than ever before. Every day more people who feel alone. They don't have to surf this wave alone, because they can be connected with other people and take a step to engage, to be heard, and more importantly, we need to tell them that God is with them. That is essential to me. Carlos, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing, for opening your heart of what you have been building and growing throughout the years. I want to tell people who are watching us that I want to invite you to take a step. That step can be something as simple as connecting with someone. If you are a parent, you can connect with your children, connect with your spouse. Take a step. Dare to take a step. Ask for help asking for help is a step. So I want to invite you today to take a step, because what God wants for you and I is for us to have a life of fullness, a plentiful life, a life that we can enjoy, and a life that makes us satisfied. And as we take steps on this journey, we will reach true maturity.
Hay sanidad y poder solo en nuestro Dios. Hay valentía bajo su protección. Hay paz en mi vida y no acabará. Hay libertad sumergiendo mi ser. Porque sobre ti nada me faltará. En tu presencia, Dios, me llenarás. Porque sobre ti nada me faltará. Tu gracia abundará y siempre habrá mucho más. Oh, hay mucho más. nada me faltará. En tu presencia, Dios, me llevarás porque solo en ti. Y siempre habrá mucho más, mucho más. Cuán grande abismo entre nosotros, cuán alto monte falla escalar, con desespero volví al cielo y en la noche te hice llamar. Allí en lo oscuro tu amor profundo cruzó la sombra y me alcanzó. Ya es consumado y el fin escrito, mi esperanza está en Jesús. ¿Quién me imagina piedad tan grande, tan plena gracia al corazón? El Dios eterno dejó su gloria, de mi pecado Él se vistió. La cruz ha hablado, soy perdonado, el Rey de Reyes me adoptó. Señor hermoso, te pertenezco, mi esperanza está en Jesús. Oh, aleluya, sea el que me libertó. Aleluya, de la muerte me arrancó, las cadenas quebrantó, y en su nombre hay salvación, mi esperanza está en Jesús. Y tus promesas fueron selladas cuando tu cuerpo resucitó. Desde el silencio, tu gran rugido quebró el poder de la muerte en mí. Y tus promesas fueron selladas cuando tu cuerpo resucitó. Desde el silencio
How amazing it is to know that there's such a great, strong God who took what oppressed us to fill us with freedom and His love. And I want you to take this truth with you every day of your life, and I invite you to do it this week and always. Thank you for being with us in this broadcast. If you have any questions, doubts, or if you want to know more about Vidaín, there's a link on the screen, and there you will be able to talk with people who are waiting for you. Happy Sunday.